Hello, this is Paul McGann.
And this is Jake McGann.
And you're listening to
Traveling the Vortex.
Ding dong.
We've joined the Doctor as he travels the Vortex and landed episode number 266. The TARDIS, not so much a spaceship, more of a shed. I'm Keith.
I'm Sean.
I'm Glenn.
How are you guys?
Good.
I'm having fun in my shed.
All right.
What's in the news, Keith?
Netflix and Hulu dropping Doctor Who and classic Doctor Who effective
Today.
What
do you guys think
Today
of
we're
that?
recording.
I'm torn. What can I think about it?
It's a shame.
It's a shame. I'm upset. I'm
not that
devastated.
Netflix had a great selection of classic
They
Who
didn't have a
anyways.
great selection. I mean, there's any number of things I could lump into the...
It's a shame for the trying to get new viewers and new fans.
I think
category.
that's what affects me the most because, quite frankly, I have all of New Who available to me on DVD and Blu-rays.
Yeah.
And I have a good chunk of classic series on DVD, and that's often the first place I go.
Oh, yeah. I will go to my DVD before I go to Netflix.
So I feel bad for the people that don't have access to the DVDs and to the Blu-rays and things like that. And it's a shame that they won't pick up new viewers that way because it's not available to somebody to say, hey, that's on Netflix, I'll give it a try.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I don't have a lot invested in the Netflix side of that. I love Netflix. I have Netflix. I watch Netflix all the time. But that isn't where I go get my Doctor Who. So I think I'm kind of a poor judge as to how affected I am by it because I'm really not. It will kind of affect us as a podcast in the sense that if people are utilizing Netflix for Friday Night Who, there might be people that aren't available, won't be available to watch because they just don't have access to the episodes anymore.
Yeah. And it was also, I know a lot of people wait for the new season to show up on Netflix because they don't have access to it on BBC America, and the DVDs are expensive. And so that's unfortunate also, in fact that they won't have as easy of access to it. Hopefully everyone has a good library where they can go pick up the DVDs.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I'm with you. I mean, I own most of it because I wanted to own most of it. I needed to own most of it. And I like watching
most of it.
But it's just frustrating that there are now two less avenues for people to go to. And do I have a problem with the fact that BBC is setting up their own?
Well, that's what I was going to jump to.
Sorry, I'll
that's
wait.
That's fine. Go ahead.
We should go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, shortly on the heels of the news that it's dropping off and that it's not, and we should also clarify that it's still going to be on Netflix UK.
Yeah,
it's just the U.S. territories that are losing Netflix. I don't know about Hulu as far as if they have UK Hulu or not. I have no idea. But a BBC spokesman said that the exact details about a new streaming service is not available, but they hope to announce a new digital partner for Doctor Who shortly. And it was like 6 months ago. The Guardian reported on it back in September that BBC's Director General said, "We are launching a new over-the-top video service in America offering BBC fans programs they wouldn't get otherwise, showcasing British actors, our program makers, and celebrating our culture." So it rather sounds like they're moving towards a streaming platform in the U.S.
Which explains why they chose not to renew the contracts.
Well, and they just launched the BBC store in the UK where you can purchase everything. I kind of hope that it's more of a streaming option. I'd be more willing to subscribe to a unlimited streaming as opposed to digital purchases.
Right.
Because why would I go to them instead of iTunes or Amazon or, buy a disc?
Or your local DVD store.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I mean, am I troubled with the fact that BBC is setting up their own streaming service for this? Not really. That's kind of the trend. It's where everything's going. CBS has one. ABC has one.
It really depends on the price of it.
Yeah.
If it's an affordable price, and if they offer me a large back catalog of classic Who that others didn't, or if that Hulu, even if it's just what Hulu had, I would be tempted to if it's a decent price.
Well, quite frankly, it's got to have a lot more than just Doctor Who on it for me to pay a monthly fee. Again, because I have a good chunk of Doctor Who that I already have sitting on my shelves. But if it has a good back catalog of stuff that I genuinely can't get anywhere else and stuff that looks interesting and intriguing, then I'll pay not more than $10 a month for it. But I would hope that it's less than that, especially since it is such a limit. I mean, even with all of the content that they can provide, it's still more limited than, say, Hulu or Netflix or something that has, licenses like crazy, several different licenses from different venues.
Well, and what's also interesting is it's not, from what I've seen, pretty much it's only Doctor Who that's dropping off British-wise. BBC stuff, Sherlock is still on there, so it's kind of, I would think those things would start falling off too if they were more imminent on launching a streaming service that was going to have all those things too.
Makes me wonder though if the Sherlock.
Oh, that's PBS.
Sherlock works out differently because PBS has a vested interest in that, and it's available for free on. I mean, you can stream Sherlock on the PBS.
Oh yeah, the website
and a streaming app for free.
Yeah, Torchwood and Broadchurch are not dropping off either.
Yeah,
so that's what makes me wonder if.
It's interesting. It's really. I really feel for the people that are losing it and losing their access to it. And I see all these posts. Save Doctor Who on Netflix, petition to contact Netflix. All these things that the efforts that are trying. And I just keep looking at them, going, "Good luck." I mean, I certainly genuinely wish them good luck. So yeah.
Well, and what it really boils down to, in a way, I think, is it strengthens the case for, if this is something you care about, go plunk down the money and go buy the DVD or go buy the Blu-ray. Support them in that manner. So
the problem is
you own it.
The Blu-rays, New Who, you're not going to have a hard time probably getting. The problem is the DVDs are continually falling onto moratorium, and it's becoming harder and harder to find the DVDs. And as Keith pointed out, the DVDs are rather expensive for one story of Doctor Who. A piece of a season, you're spending as much as you would some box sets for series, for TV series that are out there already. I can buy an entire season of Cheers on DVD, which is 23 to 26 episodes, for the same price that I can buy 4 episodes of a Doctor Who story. And I mean, now, granted, they did a very good job back when they were doing these of putting a lot of extras and actually making it more bang for the buck. But a lot of people are not going to care so much for all that extra content, and it's tougher to go out there and plop down an average of $30 for a DVD to get one story rather than stream it for.
And that depends on what it is.
It's harder for the new fans to dip their toe into it that way.
Yeah,
because
that is true.
You're not going to run out and buy Blu-ray or DVD unless
they know. Or have somebody leading you to say, okay, get this one.
That's very true. And that I mean, for a Doctor Who fan, I think it's worth the investment. And they'll run anywhere, even new copies will run anywhere between $14 and $35, depending on where you go to shop.
Yeah.
But for a newer fan that has not experienced any classic Who, now all of a sudden, where do you go to find it? And so they're, in a way,
hopefully they'll start going to iTunes and digitally renting them that way, and then going and finding the DVDs after they watch the digital copy.
Well, and maybe we'll see a resurgence of public television stations picking them back up again, like what the guys are doing down in Wichita. I mean,
it's possible too.
And anything is possible, but it's just.
I think that's a fluke. I don't think that's. That's a tough sell for a PBS station, especially since the BBC now wants to make some money, and that's why they're moving this direction. And I have a feeling that last year, I bet it was. This is all speculation on my part, but last year when this happened, and fans rushed to Netflix and said, "We want you to keep Doctor Who on Netflix," I have a feeling that was probably a negotiation between Netflix and the BBC. And I suspect that the BBC, knowing that they had a commodity like Doctor Who, was asking for more for that license. And I think Netflix didn't feel that they needed to pay what BBC was asking. And so they began to play the game of, we're going to put out there that it's leaving Netflix and gauge the popularity and gauged the interest out there. And I think when the fans all came out of the woodwork and said, please keep it, and so they met a probably higher negotiating price than they would have had they not had the push for it. I suspect this time that the BBC probably either A, put a larger number or didn't even give them an option and said, the license is out, we have no interest in renewing with Netflix because they have another plan, which would be the streaming service. So it seems to me that it could be all for naught, no matter how much we beg and plead Netflix to renegotiate that contract. There may not even be a contract to negotiate. It may just be going away because BBC is taking any sort of negotiations off the table because they don't need it now. They need something to bolster their streaming service, and they might see Doctor Who as that thing to bolster it.
Yeah, I would hope also that then they would start. I know BBC recently just did a rebroadcast of a classic episode over in the UK, and I would hope that they and America would start stepping up the repeats a bit more that way. That would be a bigger incentive to subscribe to a higher cable channel in order to get that channel to see it a little easier.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, like when they did the Breakfast with Baker and, things that I kind of had hoped were not going to be just limited run, flash in the pan promotional stunts, but instead become an actual thing. And they weren't. But maybe not.
Who knows?
maybe it'll be, nope, you got to get it here. I mean, that's certainly one way to drive up the prices if they removed it from every other viable option. Yeah. If there was no Doctor Who being shown anywhere, and you had to pay for that streaming service in order to be able to watch it.
That almost seems like shooting yourself in the foot, though.
You would think. But again, it depends on how much value they put in there. If they go ahead and load it, I mean, let's be honest here, Keith. If they loaded it up with episodes of Absolutely Fabulous and Black Adder, Glenn's going to subscribe to the thing. So.
True.
Well, yeah, and especially if there's shows that we didn't have access to on Netflix before, like the rest of Gavin and Stacey, or something like that.
Was that BBC or was that one of the
remember.
other networks?
Until I realized Downton wasn't on BBC, I always assumed everything was. So I can't keep track.
Whoa. What do you mean there's more than one channel?
BBC 1, 2, 3, and 4, right?
It's on BBC, right?
I saw European Vacation. There's one channel of the BBC, and the rest of them is making cheese.
It's cheese and snow.
Well, let's move on to...
Now that we've insulted everybody in the British Isles. That's okay. You guys are much happier than we are. You know why? If you had more channels, you could watch things like The Kardashians.
And who wants to do that?
And who wants to do that?
Feedback. Our feedback this week comes from Scott.
I totally thought you were going to launch into a commercial. You tell what I do for my day job now as I'm listening for them. Our feedback this week is brought to you by Alpo. I don't know.
Nope.
Nope.
Well, now I got to bleep Alpo.
You can't say Alpo?
Well, if you say Alpo, then they're going to come after us because... No, they're not going to come after us. They absolutely would love free advertising, but I'm not advertising Alpo, so I'm going to have to cut every instance of us saying Alpo is going to have to be bleeped out of our show because we're not getting any financial compensation for it.
I don't even feed Cody Alpo.
I will give you a dime right now if I can tune into this tomorrow and listen to every time we say beep that there is a beep because you went and beep them all out.
I don't have to beep those though because
no, I did those for you. That's
less work.
I'm collecting a dime for every one of those beeps.
No, I didn't say for every one. I said I would give you a dime.
Oh, no.
That was for the benefit of the joke in case you decided not to spend the time to actually bleep them out so that people would understand what was going on. But
I was going to say Alpo probably another 200,000 times just to run that tab up. And then bleep every one of them. Every bleeping one of them.
Every bleeping one of them.
Anyways.
He's been eating Bassett's Jelly Beans.
This podcast brought to you by Blue Microphones.
Recorded on a MacBook Pro.
Scott's
coming to you live from beautiful downtown Topeka. Almost.
No one's going to pay us for that.
Go Topeka mine.
Yeah. No.
That's the other part of my day job. I keep giving stuff away for free. I need to stop doing that. In fact, why am I not getting paid for sitting here? I've yet to figure that out.
You're getting paid with jelly babies.
Ooh.
Of course, what he doesn't realize is he bought those jelly babies.
Oh, they were presents.
Oh,
See, there you go.
okay.
Delicious and nutritious. Tastes just like chicken.
Chicken-flavored jelly babies.
Leave it to the Americans to muck that out.
You know,
Worst could be Marmite-flavored jelly babies.
oh God. Oh, worst practical joke ever. Hey, look at Jelly Baby. Oh God, Marmite. I wonder if you can jelly Marmite.
They comes in a variety of formats.
Yeah, but I mean, I just wonder.
Formats. It's not videotape.
Might as well be.
It tastes about as good. I wonder.
Nope. I'd rather have a mouthful of
Have you ever
videotape.
eaten videotape? I wonder if. I wonder
You know
if
what would be really fun is, you know, the jelly, not Jelly Baby, the Jelly Bean Bamboozled thing where you spin the dial and it's like Bert's Bots, every flavor bean, but it's colors, but it's like toothpaste or berry something or skunk or you not heard of these?
No.
Yeah,
I have no
apparently
idea what you're talking
it's
about.
this candy you can buy. It's the jelly beans, Jelly Belly. It's called Bean Boozled, and it comes with a spin dial where it's every color is one of two flavors, something good or something disgusting. So it's like peach or vomit.
Oh.
And so you spin it, and you have to choose, that chooses your color, and then you get to find out which one it is. We should do that with Jelly Babies, but make it Marmite as the other option.
No, all of them are Marmite. It's either
Jelly Baby or Marmite.
It's either grape or Marmite. Alpo.
I'd never heard of that before, Keith. I'm sorry. It's called Bamboozle?
Bean Boozled.
Bean Boozle.
I figured you had because you were kids, because that's how I found out about it. Was out
From my kids?
Yeah, Audie.
Oh, not my kids.
No, I didn't find out from your kids.
Okay.
Audie had them, and it's quite fun.
Let's be honest, all of our information comes from kids.
It's true.
A good chunk of mine does.
I don't know. I wonder if you could jelly Marmite, or if it would, if the structural integrity of that is such that it would resist any attempt to form it into anything other than Marmite. You know what I mean?
Well, they made those Marmite chips that, who sent us that picture?
Oh, yeah.
You remember those?
Yeah, well, yeah. Maybe they were just baked into the...
It could be. I don't know.
Because I don't think you
It seems like Marmite chips would be fairly easy to make.
Well, yeah. I mean, it may be very... Maybe it's the best thing ever. I mean, I'm willing to bet you could spackle a house with Marmite. I could hang shingles and do masonry work and all kinds of things. I could build a bridge and a dam at the same time. All I need is Marmite.
What have we gotten feedback, Keith?
Scott says, "Am I first in line?" Hello, Kansas crew.
Come on down, Scott. You're first on feedback.
Well, it's been a long time since I've written. I have kept up with the podcast and everything. Congratulations on the sports successes and personal achievements. Sports successes.
Our Royals winning the World Series. The Chiefs making it to the playoffs.
Sure. Okay.
You know, the sports ball.
I will write again other times about other topics, but I'm trying to start a new hot rumor.
Ooh.
Olivia Colman as the next Doctor. She has all the qualifications, well known and respected in the UK, BAFTA winner, has done comedy in a couple of Mitchell and Webb series, shows, and her recent time on Broadchurch with Tennant. That's enough for now. Oh, I'm writing this on January 30th, 2016. Can Kat be my witness? Ha ha ha. I will be writing again. Take care. Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
What do you think of
Olivia Colman?
Colman,
You know,
that's
I'm
the
not
doctor.
that familiar with her other than from
Hot
Mitchell and
Fuzz.
Webb. Yeah, she was in Hot Fuzz. I don't
the one
remember her that
episode
well.
of Who?
Yeah, she was in an episode.
That one episode of Who.
Where she doesn't play it, where she plays Prisoner Zero.
Right.
So
right.
it's not like it's...
well, one of the versions of Prisoners.
Yeah.
She, she's in that. Yeah, and then, but I know her from Mitchell and Webb. That's pretty much, she was on the first 3 or 4 seasons of that.
What's that other thing that she did with David Tennant?
Broadchurch.
Oh, yeah, that one.
I still haven't
The one that
watched
Scott
that.
mentioned.
Yeah.
I still haven't watched them, so I don't know.
She was in the Five-ish Doctors reboot.
Yeah, she was.
She was
great
at the
first
beginning
5 seconds of that.
with Pertwee's kid, Sean.
Pertwee's kid.
I couldn't remember his first name. Olivia. Huh. I'll have to. You know what, Scott? I will watch
what
some
role
more.
Did she have in Hot Fuzz? It's been a while since I've seen that.
It was a small role.
No, she was one of the other cops at the station. She
Yeah.
was the one that kind of had the the naughty one who kept,
Right.
kept insinuating that things were
Right.
of a sexualized nature when they weren't, or hoping that they were.
Okay, I'll have to go back and rewatch that because I kind of remember that role, but not thoroughly.
Peep Show. That's what I used to watch her on, not Mitchell. Although I watched her on Mitchell and Webb too, but Peep Show. She was in Peep Show. She was in the first several seasons of Peep Show.
I know what she looks like.
Oh,
I just
okay.
don't remember her from Hot Fuzz. It's been a really long time since I've watched Hot Fuzz.
Well, that's something you shall have to remedy.
Yeah. Well, that's it in feedback.
Let's move on to our reviews.
Dead London. Someone's playing with us, manipulating time and space for their own ends. The TARDIS lands in London, but which one? The Doctor and Lucy find themselves trapped in a maze of interlocking Londons from Roman times to the present day. But they are not alone in this labyrinth. A killer is on their trail.
Dun, dun, dun.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Good start to the second series for the Eighth Doctor Adventures.
It's maybe because of the period setting on part of it. Something about it felt like, what was the Sixth Doctor story that was Victorian times, where they thought they were tracking down Jack the Ripper? Was that the one?
Recently, yeah.
It felt a lot like that.
Yeah. I actually got more of a War Games vibe where they were going
and
between.
then once they got to
they
that
were going
point,
between
yeah.
time zones. I thought that was very War Games like.
Yeah, I did think of that also.
Medicinal purposes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it. And it wasn't Jack the Ripper; it was Burke and Hare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Body Snatchers.
Yeah.
No, I Dead London for me, because this is my second or third time going through this particular one because I've gone back to the Eighth Doctor ones again. It's one, I think it's a standard story. And I don't mean that to be in a bad way at all. It's just, we land, there's a problem, it's a little bit of subterfuge, there's some fun, and then we get out of it. And that's, that's kind of all there is.
That's the 45-minute format.
What makes this one work for me? Paul McGann.
Oh,
Top to bottom.
Always.
that's the default answer. For
Yeah,
me.
come on, tell us something we don't know, Sean.
No, I literally, this one in particular, I'm drawn to the fact that even if the material is subpar, and I'm not saying this one is, because as I said, it's standard. But even if the material is subpar, Paul McGann's there being awesome.
And I'm really starting to like Lucy more.
Good.
I was kind of on the fence on her most of the first season, but I think that the relationship she's developed with this Doctor, now that they're a little less abrasive towards each other and more friendly, I'm starting to like her more.
I think by the end of the last series, I'd really warmed to her. But yeah, I agree. I think this one carries over that same relationship that we finally developed into at the end of the series one. Yeah, I agree with you.
And at the same time, the 45-minute format, it felt like, while I appreciated that they didn't really delve into all these side characters and flesh them out more and more and more, but it felt like they could have. I felt like there was a lot of interesting stuff that it easily could have been a classic Doctor story and stretched the 4 parts, and I would have enjoyed the entire ride. Because they had such good characters within the whole story, especially
Spring Hill Sophie.
Yes,
Yeah, she was a highlight of this
Yeah.
one. She was really enjoyable. Well, and the the villain, the bad guy, the
Sepulchre?
Yeah, Sepulchre. He was downright vicious. I mean, he was, creepy, maniacal, typical alien. I like the whole hive mind aspect of it, that he was kind of everywhere, and in order to basically get out of this, the Doctor kind of severs that.
I wasn't sure how I felt about them actually being inside his mind.
That was the weird thing. I was going to ask you guys, do you get the impression that they're still in her? Not obviously the Doctor and Lucy, but
everyone else.
Did everyone else just still be there, and that's where they exist? And
and
none of this was obviously real, but to them it was. And so did they? He just leave them there, and everything was fine,
right? Mm-hmm. Somehow, some of them were brought in. So, like Spring Hill Sophie was real
at one
point.
She
just lived in
So it kind of left it a little ambiguous as to if they were still there. And he just made it a livable place for them.
That's kind of the impression I got.
That's what I got out of it.
Okay.
Which, again, that's kind of one of the, I don't know, ethically ambiguous, at best, endings. Because you have these people that, for all intents and purposes, have been kidnapped out of their proper time zones and put in this menagerie. And the Doctor leaves them in the menagerie. He's rewritten the programming, so now that ostensibly all of these different time zones are going to grow and evolve kind of on their own, but they're still butted up against each other with this kind of mental block that nobody wants to move from one side to the other.
Oh, yeah.
So what are the people in current modern-day London on their side of the river going to do when, the 22nd century rolls around and they're still on their side of the river? And
I think if they had been able to explain to me that they weren't returned to their normal places that they came from because they couldn't be returned or they would die or something, if that was explained, I would have had I wouldn't have had as much of a moral issue with it, because I would have kind of realized, okay, well, this was the best for them. This was a way for them to continue to survive in their existence and not put them in any sort of jeopardy. The way that it's left, it's almost like we could be revisiting this place some other time where how do you say that guy's name again?
Sepulchre?
Sepulchre.
Yeah, something
that. Where he's regained some sort of, hold over them. And I don't know. I don't know. That was really my only problem with it, was them just up and leaving and everything being okay.
And he was evil and everything, but it is inside his mind. So did they just leave the guy, whatever this thing is, a vegetable?
Well, I get the impression that he was separated, because it wasn't like he was completely eliminated.
They locked him up.
Yeah, exactly.
So he is now a prisoner in his own mind.
Still a vegetable.
Well, but
I guess I don't know enough.
If we didn't know the outside of this, if he's in some pod somewhere,
then that's okay.
Laying there as a vegetable. Well, is it okay?
Well,
I don't know.
It depends on if he was a vegetable before,
or is when we talk about this species, are we talking about a?
Is it even corporeal?
Yeah, corporeal being. If it's not, then is there really a vegetative state for something that's not corporeal? I mean, it's. I guess it left some questions at the end, and that was my only problem with it.
Yeah.
But overall, it was enjoyable, and I agree. McGann's performance was phenomenal. Lucy was wonderful. Sheridan Smith did a great job. And as you pointed out, Spring Hill Sophie, the gal that played her, Claire Buckfield, was phenomenal in it as well.
Actually, returned to Who for her. She played Trisha Tomorrow in Horror of Glam Rock.
Ah. Oh, okay.
Same actress as Spring Hill Sophie.
And Katarina Olsen, the Yellow Barrel, has done a lot of stuff.
She was the headhunter.
Yeah. So I was also a little surprised. I kind of went into this expecting the setup for the season, and I didn't feel like we got it.
Right. This really felt like a standalone.
There was no nugget that's going to carry through unless we do wind up coming back to his mind.
I read somewhere, or I listened. I think it was in the. There was at the end of this. There is a interview, because they always do the behind the scenes stuff. They were talking about how this one actually was recorded later, but they moved it to the beginning of the series because they had to do some juggling with the series, and so that might be the reason. But I also remember our season 1 started out with a 2-parter and ended with a 2-parter, and this one did.
Yeah.
So
I suspect that may be the reason for it, is having just come off of a two-parter. And of course, I have a little bit of foreknowledge, knowing where this season's going, that they may have wanted to kind of break it up a little bit with a few more just little standalone adventures to kind of help cement the relationship between the two of them. And I think it works. I think it fits really well, where it does, because you get the sense that some time has passed since Human Resources.
Oh yeah,
but that we're still having a grand time and flying around the cosmos. I love the dialogue in this. Pretty much everything McGann says is just well written. What's his name here? Pat Mills. What else did Pat Mills write? Dead London and Scapegoat for Big Finish, featuring the Eighth Doctor.
Oh,
the song of something. I can't pronounce that one. I guess that's it, which is interesting because I'm not a big fan of the Scapegoat. But it's just he really captures the Eighth Doctor.
Yeah.
The bit with the parking tickets and the only the Eighth Doctor could try explaining that out. Well, yeah, I would have moved if somebody needed a spot. Oh, you make a habit of this. Well, yeah. Just that kind of stuff. I can't. There's not another Doctor that would fall into that as foppishly, if you will, as the Eighth Doctor does.
The guy that played the name of the guy that we can't pronounce,
Cephalica,
was Rupert Vansittart, and he was General Asquith in the World War III and Aliens of London. He was I believe that was one of the Slovene. Wasn't that not the main guy and not a woman, obviously, but the third guy? The guy was dressed as the head of the military. I think that's who that was. He was in Doctor Who in Series 9. Not Series 9, Series 1. Ninth Doctor. Yeah, that guy, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy.
I mean, the military one.
Yeah, well, he wasn't
a Slovene until
they took him over,
yeah.
But he plays a Slovene eventually, so.
He was also in Braveheart.
Oh, apparently so. And Remains of the Day. And now we're on his IMDb page.
4 weddings and a funeral.
What else? What else did I like about this? I really liked that Lucy had a Beatles shirt on.
I knew you would like that one.
Beatles fan.
I liked the end of A Revolution in the Mind.
Yeah,
that was kind of a cool way
to
tie
it
all
into
together.
Sort of a Beatles.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Apparently, we have nothing else to say about this one. Enjoyable. 2 thumbs up. Yay.
Max Warp. Welcome to Max Warp, broadcasting live from the Sinus Interg Cruiser Show, hosted by outspoken columnist and media personality Jeffrey Vantage, with spaceship guru extraordinaire O'Reilly and daredevil pilot Timbo the Ferret. When a test flight of the new Kith Sunstorm ends in disaster, the Sirius exhibition station is plunged into a web of murder and intrigue. Someone or something is trying to reignite a war between the Varlon Empire and the Kith oligarchy. How do you say that? As the fate of the galaxy hangs in the balance, only 2 investigators, the Doctor and Lucy, can hope to uncover the truth. So strap yourself in, engage thrust, and prepare for Max Warp.
Oh, really?
What?
I figured you'd have been... I was giving you the go-ahead for your...
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, you want dun dun? It was a dun dun dun. It was a mild dun dun dun.
Just a mild dun dun?
I would give it a
enjoyable.
mild dun dun too.
It was enjoyable.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I
it was
liked
enjoyable.
This one a lot.
I liked it too. I didn't think it was... I mean, again, when you really dun dun dun, you set the benchmark way too high, and I don't... The dun 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 is not a good barometer for whether I like
golden
something
bow
or
tie,
not.
at least.
I don't know if it'd go that high.
No. I quite enjoyed this one. I mean, it was what
enjoyable.
I liked about this is, and I'm by no means a Top Gear fan whatsoever.
Well, and that's what they were parodying.
Right, but I have seen enough episodes of Top Gear to... I don't watch it all the time, but I've seen probably maybe a half a season or almost. I don't like cars, but it's very much, and I think they kind of allude to it in this story, that it's one of those things that you really... you gravitate to it based on the characters of the show, and just in the way that it's done, the humor and the personality. But I watch it also because I absolutely deplore Jeremy Clarkson. I do not like the guy, but I find myself sitting there watching it because there's something that draws it to me, and the characterization in this was just nearly spot on. In fact, I was a little surprised that they went as far as parodying it as they did, and listening again to Nicholas Briggs in the afterward where they were talking about this story. It was quite interesting that they had it even more similar, and they had to pare it back because it was looking a lot too much like Top Gear. But I got it was totally a Top Gear vibe.
I've never seen Top Gear, and I knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
But, so I liked that they did that and went there, and it was a fun parody, but it was very much tongue-in-cheek parody of the characters on that show, Top Gear.
We prefer satirical character.
Satirical characterization is what it was. But, it was... What I liked best about this is that it's a Ten Little Indians. It's an Agatha Christie novel. It's a...
But no one dies.
Centered around Top Gear. And that's the beauty of it, is that by the time we unravel this and get to the end, no one is dead. And I liked that. And I liked the fact that it's also sort of a statement, too, I think, as far as politics go and how politics are run, and all the way down to the idea that they have a spin droid, that the president has a spin droid
I really like
she
that
listens
aspect
to,
of it.
and it's a barometer for how people are accepting her, and she makes decisions solely based on her popularity. And it's something that I think happens on a lower level in real society, and it's actually quite deplorable. And I like the fact that they played very fast and loose with that idea and said, this is something that, without going out and saying this is actually what's happening or what we're going to come to. I like that they actually dealt with that issue and that topic as well.
Yeah, what I really liked about the story was the politics and the mystery of it, as opposed to I wasn't a big fan of the Max Warp trappings of it. It was okay, but it was kind of like, yeah. And then especially the part where she goes, and part of why this doesn't get a very big dun-dun-dun for me is when Lucy goes undercover, that whole thing is so uncomfortable to hear of what's his face being so sexist toward her that it's just like, eee. And
Jeffrey Vantage?
Yeah, that took me out of the story almost, because it was almost too far that they took it.
I think the only difference, or the only thing that made that go too far, because it was obviously done to make you
hate the guy.
And you were supposed to be uncomfortable.
And you were supposed to be uncomfortable with it. You were supposed to be very, very angry and frustrated with him. The only thing I think that maybe was missing a step there was that because she couldn't, at no point in time should she just kick his butt for him.
Yeah.
And I think Lucy being Lucy, that she probably should have been a lot closer to that moment. Probably would have had to have been restrained,
with
kicking
a
and
little bit more than
screaming
I
out
thought.
of the bar.
Although it really kind of shows her responsibility in the situation because she is undercover. She is working with the doctor too. So you kind of see that she puts enough trust in the doctor, and the doctor can have enough trust in her that she wouldn't let something like emotions that rightfully so, should have punched the guy in the nose, but knowing that it wouldn't have done anything good to, it would have damaged their investigation. So she completely rolls with the punches, and I like that. That actually made me appreciate her more. Not that she had to take it, but the fact that she did and was able to keep it under control and handle it. That's the other thing is, I agree it was quite uncomfortable because it's very, very sexist the way they're going. And I think they're trying to drive a point that in a lot of similarities to how a lot of people feel about Jeremy Clarkson. And it's even more of a uncomfortable situation when knowing now that Jeremy Clarkson is off of the Top Gear's done. They got rid of it based on the controversy that was surrounding Clarkson and the difficulties they had with him. And so it's just that now knowing that on top of the fact that we're listening to this characterization of a guy who really kind of comes across that way in real life.
what I like about this, I think there are many levels. I think you do get the, right from the get-go, when you get the Max Warp intro, you're kind of going, oh, this is going to be one of those. So this is just going to be kind of a lighthearted, fun romp, and we're just going to go and we're going to get into some ridiculous situations, and we're going to have to deal with it. And we get that. With all of the great back and forth with Lucy and the Doctor about, boys with toys and, just it's a car show. I mean, and the Doctor's going, but look, we've got, Hyperium dampeners on this one. And she's like, do you need to be alone? Which is a sexist remark. I mean, right from the get-go that we're kind of throwing it the other direction, that, it's a guy thing. So you get that level of it. It
strikes a balance, though.
Yeah, it does. But, you needed that in order to be able to make up for the guy stuff later. But then
it's setting the stage for that.
Exactly. So you get that level up. But then you get the political stuff with the president and the spin droid, and it's very Douglas Adams. It's one of those. No, it is. they literally quote Douglas Adams in the episode.
It wasn't very Adams-esque, though.
It's very Adams-esque. Where you get this idea of something, and yet this is how we're going to play it off. It's ramped up to that degree of ridiculousness that it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. Coupled with the fact that we have an ambassador who is apparently a fern. These are Adam's ideas. And so you have all of this going on.
The sponge.
Yeah, the spore, whatever. I don't know. I thought he was a plant, but...
I think I got a good impression it was a fungus.
The kith.
A fungus of some sort.
But, so you've got all this stuff going on. But then you kind of begin to realize as the story goes on that there is a legitimate threat of some sort of Armageddon that's about to happen. That, yes, the trappings are ridiculous, but we have a battle fleet that's on its way.
That's the germ of great storytelling in this, is that despite the trappings, that there is such great political intrigue and ominous threats looming because of the Kith battle fleet.
Right.
And the I didn't like the motivations behind his character of why he was doing what he was doing. But then
I don't like the motivations, but they were. It was a good, solid motivation.
Yes, yeah.
Unlike such time when you get a villain that's like, "Well, I'm a villain because this happened to me," and it's like, really? That's
your motivation.
He almost has noble motivations. He's just going about it in the wrong way.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
That's the other thing that I really appreciate with this one is how many times you get those misdirections where we're going to set it up and we're going to give you this guy and he's going to be very unpleasant and very unlikable and you're all going to leap to the conclusion that he's the bad guy. And then it isn't. We're going to pull the rug out from under you and give you some misdirection and point you the wrong way. And they really don't in this one. I mean, we get a lot of ins and outs of the case that make you think, and Lucy's ridiculous. Well, I think it's this person because they wore blue shoes. And the Doctor's like, what?
It crashed because they said ferrets.
What do you
those were some great moments where she was spouting off mammals and he's like, what are you doing?
He's just trying to get the code to work. Despite the fact that there's never been anything, he's already discounted that theory and she's still hammering away at it. That's so great. But so we give you some misdirections along the way as far as the case actually goes. But no, then we give you this big heavy scene in the middle with him being sexist and very unlikable, and then it turns out, he is the bad guy. I kind of like the fact that it's a very cut and dried, you may have thought something else was going on, but no, we set it up for you at the beginning. The jerk did it. It's just, okay. Another instance where psychic paper is almost invoked, but not quite.
Yeah.
Apparently ran back into the TARDIS and manufactured some documents.
Right. I got the impression that they were going the psychic paper direction, and then it didn't quite get there. And I thought, maybe you couldn't.
But and I love again, Paul McGann and Sheridan Smith have such great chemistry. Where he's like, oh yeah, we're going to do this, and she's like, why? And he's elbowing her in the ribs. He's like, oh yeah, you have to forgive my assistant. I had to have her memory wiped off the last case. No, you didn't. See,
there was some really great dialogue.
What are you talking about? And he elbows her in the ribs again. I'm counting these. So I really like this one, and listening to it on a second and third go through now, I'm still there with it. It's just it really for me it holds together. It is a fun romp. I like the fact.
Oh,
that
it's
we've got
fun.
those-
I think Keith and I agree that it's an enjoyable story.
I'm not going to sell you on it any harder
definitely
than
not.
you're already at.
Yeah, it's definitely not the best. It's not the cream of the crop. But.
No. But it's just it for me. This for me kind of sums up why I listen to Doctor Who audio in some ways, because I get fun stories. I get things that enable me to go, yeah, okay, why not?
I think
You occasionally get your dinosaurs on a spaceship.
I think this hits a level that I think the Eighth Doctor stories, the Eighth Doctor adventures have been consistently this kind of feel of a story.
Yeah.
And a lot of fun, and it really does feel like an adventure. And I think that because that's in the title, that hits the nail. They can't get real deep and heavy like they have sometimes in the main range, and they have gotten a bit heavy in the Eighth Doctor series, at least in the first series, but not without getting too dark and deep and brooding. And you can't do that in 45 minutes. And so these really feel like both of these stories really feel like the perfect fit for these, and I hope that they continue to maintain that level of
maybe that's what
excellence.
it is more than anything is when you look at Paul McGann in Doctor Who the movie and you get a certain type of doctor and a certain type of story, but you can't necessarily tell all of that story because you only have an hour and a half, and Sylvester McCoy's there for part of it, so
20 minutes of it.
You have that, and then you see Paul McGann in Night of the Doctor, which is a very heavy episode, even though he's still light in it. But that's really all you get. And so, for me, I look at Paul McGann, who I've kind of said before that, he very easily could be my doctor because I enjoy him so much. And I think it's because of stuff like this. This is the stuff that I take away, that I want to believe that the majority of his tenure in the TARDIS was this kind of adventure, and not so much the Time War kind of adventure.
It's the leading up to the Time War.
That it's still there. That we know it's coming, but
I have a feeling that once we get to the Dark Eyes series, all 4 parts of that, I have a feeling we'll get more of a Zagreus Eighth Doctor,
right?
Yeah. That kind of where we almost went at that point with the Eighth Doctor. I quite frankly, I'm glad we got away from that. But
it's a nice.
It'll be interesting
pace,
to see
nice,
because the accolades for the Dark Eyes series are so high. I mean, everybody loves Dark Eyes, and they talk about how great they are. So I have great expectations for them. But it's kind of nice to have this Eighth Doctor that we're really familiar with and really quite enjoy.
Didn't I just see recently, or maybe not? I guess not recently. It's been within the last couple of months. I think that Big Finish did a. What was the best release of, and Dark Eyes kind of unanimously across the board came out as this is the highest of the highest of the high.
That was a month or two ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. But I like light and fun and whipped cream and cherries, and that's kind of what I feel like I get with these. And like I said, listening to it a third time, But
again, I think that's what you need with a 45-minute format.
It's hard to do more in that format.
And audio lends to this type of storytelling too, because especially this story, because of the visualizations that they paint in your mind, I think are really good. And some of them are. I'd go as far as saying some of the visualizations are a bit Adams-esque, but the story itself didn't feel very Adams. Maybe the trappings did, and maybe the elements of it did, but not the story and the maybe even more of the dialogue wasn't enough for me to say, okay, this was very Douglas Adams.
This is why you like it so much. It was written by Jonathan Morris.
There is that. There is that too. No, what is the one? I looked it up.
Well, there's a line lifted, or there's a the Lasler
looks like a brick, steers like a shopping trolley.
Well, yeah, but the Lasler Lycron custom job is actually one of the spaceships in the car park in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy,
right.
the TV series. So, yeah, they you could tell Morris was taking cues from Adams, but I just don't think he hit the Adams-esque feel for me.
I think the spin
tell you what,
droid is very...
That's a Douglas Adams idea,
I think so, too.
Yeah. Yeah, he was drawing from the ideas, I would give you that.
What else did Jonathan Morris do that I liked so much?
I don't know, you just keep praising him so much. Blood Tide, Flip Flop.
A bunch we haven't listened to. Oh, he's
Touched
done a
by an
bunch
Angel.
that are coming up that I have listened to. So
That's probably why.
maybe that's it.
Touched by an Angel. In the new series.
So this was his first 8th Doctor's adventure.
Babelsphere.
Babelsphere, yeah.
A couple of the 4th Doctor ones coming up. Yeah, no, he's solid. I like it. I like the money pit. That's where I come down. You know why I like this episode? It doesn't insist upon itself. That's what I like about it. And I don't know about anybody else. Having never seen an episode of Top Gear, I'm really curious to know what the funky board looks like.
Yeah. Is that an actual...
I don't remember what they call it in the series itself. But yeah, they have a board and they put things up there. And they're rated on one side or the other of the board. It's either, hot or not type thing. I can't remember exactly how it's actually framed. But it's, similar to that. If they don't like something, it goes on one side. If they do like something, it goes on the other. And all three of them kind of have some input into where these things go. Clarkson always seems to kind of bully his opinion into that.
Well, kind of like he did with O'Brien.
Yeah.
Oh, shut up, O'Brien.
Which I did kind of like their chemistry together, of the two of them, because it felt very much that relationship of the loudmouth bully and the nerdy guy who's there for the fun, and because he loves the person who really loves the job and the person who just is doing the job. It was a good dynamic.
All right.
And the shed stuff is great. Time and relative dimensions in a shed.
Going back to that, I thought it was quite interesting the way that kind of turns, because he's all giddy about all of the different spaceships and he's excited and he can't believe that, don't you like spaceships? I mean, and it's funny that she's like, yeah, I could care less, until she turns and says, well, there might be some real spaceships here, unlike the TARDIS.
They're proper spaceships.
It's like she a proper spaceship. So she's kind of like jabbing him a bit. I thought that's kind of funny that she went from being, they could care less about spaceships to, well, they might be better than this, and kind of turning it around on him. So I thought that was kind of fun.
That was a bit that felt a bit Donna.
It's very reminiscent of the rocket ship going, he's got a Ferrari.
Yeah, exactly. You have a Pinto. I can't remember what she actually said.
Box. Maybe she does say shed. Surely Donna doesn't say shed.
No, I don't think it was
I don't think it was shed.
I heard shed.
Must be a box. I don't remember. I lost the train of thought. It just flew right away. It derailed really quickly. Oh,
Nope, it was just delayed at the station.
It was the simulator where they get gassed.
Oh, gosh.
Anybody slightly concerned?
Yeah, a lot concerned. And I'm thinking, I know this is only the second episode of the 8th Doctor Adventures, and I've seen neither Doctor, so I know how far the Doctor gets, but I was like, how are we going to get out of this? And they really drive it into the planet, and I thought, huh? And then when you find out it was a simulator, I thought, oh, wow, that was really clever. Because there's a lot of, when you put the Doctor's life in peril, it's really hard to sell a listener or a viewer on the fact that he's really in any sort of peril, because we know that there's at least 12 incarnations of him. And I know he didn't regenerate at that point. So when you put the companion in peril, there's some concern. When you put the Doctor in peril, there's not. And so to be able to make me be concerned about something and go that far, and then go, oh, you clever.
All the way up to the end. And Lucy's saying, we're not dead. Yes, I had noticed. And the computer, you have crashed into the surface. What?
Please exit the door to your left. It's good. Yeah. I liked it. All right, maybe I liked it a little better than I made it at the beginning. There's
a lot of great moments in it.
Sean, what have we got coming up on the schedule?
Well, coming up on the schedule is more Paul McGann.
Yay!
We're doing one of our favorites, Doctor Who the Movies, this week's Friday Night Who, so please join us. If you have a copy, if you don't have a copy, you should rectify that situation immediately and go get a copy because it's awesome. And then we are doing Beyond the Doctor next week because we will be watching Withnail and I, which I presume is pronounced Withnail and I. And with, you know...
That's how it's spelled.
With Nile?
With Nile, yeah.
I don't know.
No, it's with Heidnell. Yeah, but with Paul McGann.
With Heidnell.
And then the following week, as we've mentioned before, we are going to be doing The Crusade. What's the name of the company, Glenn?
Loose Cannons.
The Loose Cannons version of The Crusade for Friday Night Who.
Reconstruction. There's 2 episodes that'll be reconstructed. The other 2 episodes you can find on the Lost in Time box set for William Hartnell. If you have the box set, it's the William Hartnell version. If you've got the 2 parts, if you bought them separately, obviously it's the Hartnell disc that you can get those on those. So you can see 2 of those that are actually, the full episodes, but 2 of those we're doing the Loose Cannon reconstruction.
So you can join us for the Loose Cannons if you can acquire a copy of it. We will be talking about the Crusade as a story. Obviously, we're actually kind of reviewing it, and then the lost part of it, and the fact that it had to be reconstructed, and the audio. And we're also going to be reading the novelization. Yes. So if you have not started that, you may want to.
You got 2 weeks.
That's sort of it. It's a quick read. It's only 160-some pages. And we sort of decided, I think, to do this because...
That size font.
It's a pretty decent-sized font. I think we sort of decided to do that to give us a little more input and insight, because a lot of times when you're watching these recons, it's kind of difficult to really kind of visualize, obviously, because they're using telesnaps with these. It's really kind of hard to visualize what they're doing. So if we could get a little more help, that's certainly what we're reaching for. And so that's why we've done this. We're not requiring anybody
No.
But
I think it's unfortunate to... I don't feel like I can review a story if I only watch 2 parts of it.
Yes, agreed.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I think in order to do it justice.
I also think that the nice thing about this is David Whitaker wrote this, and he wrote the television story. So that's an added bonus, because it would be different if you had one writer doing the TV series and then another one. Terrence Dicks novelized a lot of stuff that he didn't originally write. And he did a great job. But it's really good when we can get these novels that are also written by the same person that wrote it, because you got to get some insight into what they were thinking for both
there are full-page animations or illustrations.
Illustrations, yeah.
And that thought ties into my thought that I mentioned off mic, which I will bring up in 2 weeks.
I should mention, backing up to the Loose Cannon, if you have any of the reconstructions, all of them utilize audio that was recorded from this TV series, from the episodes themselves. So even if you have a different version of it that has been, I'm not familiar enough with all of the different various kinds of recons. I know there's at least 7 different groups that were doing these, and some of them didn't double up. Some of them didn't. If somebody did. The Crusade, then somebody else did something else. So they weren't always knowing that there was a version out there, or somebody might come along and do it better. But if you have, for some reason out there is a reconstruction of the Crusade that I'm not familiar with, but you have that, because the audio track syncs up, you're going to have the same length that we are. You just may see some different. You're going to see some different editing style. Is what you're going to see is going to be the difference, because the telesnaps, they all use virtually the same telesnaps. They might just choose to use them in a different way as far as editing it together.
I suppose that's an interesting idea, is that you could do a Friday Night Who listen along.
Well, you
could have the audio.
The BBC
on Twitter.
The BBC also has released a lot of these as CD tracks with linking narration. So if that helps you as well, and you would rather pop the DVD or the BBC audio in fact, the Lost in Time box set has all 4 parts of this, and 2 of them are audio only. So if you prefer to do it that way, that you're certainly anybody that joins us this week that has the Lost in Time next week, not this week, next week, that has the Lost in Time discs, you have access to all 4 episodes. 2 of them will just happen to be audio versions. So,
but I did not realize that was on there.
We figured it was time to introduce the. What rank are you now? I can't call you the newbie.
Well, he's far from newbie.
Yeah,
5 years in.
Novice.
No, I'm way above that.
Above novice too. I think he's full. He's full blown.
I'm full blown.
Yeah.
No, he isn't.
Yeah, he's full blown.
I'm at least on par with you, Sean.
The only thing, I think the only thing he lacks is the fact that he didn't have the experience from childhood like we did. That's it.
Yeah.
That's really the only thing that does that. I mean, we still have a lot more Doctor Who knowledge, but as far as his capacity as a fan, I think
Time tot.
I don't know about that.
All right,
We
so
figured it was time to
we'll go with that.
to get the time tot some of the lost ones. So that's what prompted that.
That's right.
And then more schedule goodness is being hammered out as we speak. So we'll have some more posted for you soon on the schedule, which will be kind of carrying us into February and Galley and book reviews and book clubs and all that kind of stuff.
We should mention if anybody is going to Galley, none of us are going, right? We're not able to do so this year.
I did not win the $1 billion. So
if there's anybody out there of our listeners that is going to Galley and would like to send us some audio as far as commentary on what they experience, either as you're experiencing it there each night, if you want to send us something, we'll put it out as side trips. Or if you just want to do something as a compilation at the very end and just kind of give us a full wrap.
Yeah, even a text.
And the audio would be best, but then next step, if you would just want to type something up for us that we could read on the show, that'd be great as well. All right. Well, be sure to visit www.travelingthevortex.com. We have various links and goodies on the right side of the page. You can click on there. Most importantly is our Patreon page. If you'll consider subscribing to Patreon and supporting Traveling the Vortex there, we would be much appreciative. And, of course, if you're already supporting us through Patreon, we continue to give our gratitude and thanks for doing so. There are also some links for Entertainment Earth and Amazon.com and anything that you buy there. A portion of those proceeds do come back to this podcast so we can continue to give you the wonderful content that we give you on a week-to-week basis. You can also find us on the various forms of social media, which include...
We are on Facebook at Traveling the Vortex, Twitter at Travel Vortex, Google+, the Goodreads Book Club,
YouTube,
and of course,
we need to use our YouTube channel more often, I think.
On our website, there's that handy form where you can send in feedback like Scott did. Just fill that out and you can send it to us. Or if you don't want to go to our website to do that, you can send it to us at feedback@travelingthevortex.com.
All right.
And it will come through to us and we will read it on the show. You can also reach out to us on any of the social media too.
Twitter and
Facebook and whatnot.
Thanks for qualifying that, Sean. For those people that might not know what the other social media avenues are.
The ones I just said.
How come we don't have a Snapchat?
I don't know. How come we don't have a Snapchat?
Because Sean hasn't set it up yet.
We have a Periscope.
I don't do that.
I don't know.
We have a Pinterest too.
You could send me. Do we have a Pinterest? I don't think we have a Pinterest. No.
Did you mention Goodreads?
We could have a Pinterest.
I kind of zoned out.
I'm sorry. Obviously. Is that going to do it for this week?
We're also on Instagram.
We are on Instagram, yes.
The great and fantastic Let's Get to 400 Likes on our Facebook page is sadly, once again, falling a little short this weekend. We're at 395.
I framed it wrong last week because I think people liked the post that I put up. They
didn't like hey, like this
Facebook
post.
Page. Well,
I went like, and I went, wait a minute.
I did. I thought the text on the image spoke for itself, and then it occurred to me that I said, "Please like and share this post." And the like and share this post was for the idea of getting it out, getting that post out there, so people would come to our website or to our Facebook page. And it didn't occur to me until I think you had posted it and said, redirecting people to the page to like there, that this week I reposted and took the like this post out there and just said share. So, where are we at? 390?
395.
Well, we were there last week. We got 3 last week.
We were 394.
So, yeah. Well, no, are you sure?
By the end of the week,
okay,
we were
good.
394. So
well, we got like 3 likes. One. We got 3 likes out of it last weekend, so...
So if you haven't liked us on Facebook, go and like us on Facebook.
And if you know anybody that hasn't liked us on Facebook, but would like to like us on Facebook, please send them there to like us on Facebook. Please like us.
Please vote for me. We should come up with a snazzy
I should take
Facebook
this
thing.
time to mention, too, you can find us on iTunes, and we would be much appreciative if you go on there and give us a review. Ideally, we'd like a 5-star because that kind of gets us out there a little more and gets some more attention to the podcast for people. It sounds like we're desperately pleading for people. But yes, please go give us a review on iTunes because that certainly does help promote a show as well.
And if you don't like us, send us an email and let us know why. What did we do? I'm being serious. I would like to know if there are people that were like,
what can we do that you would like?
You know, I tried listening once, and you guys kind of suck.
If they don't
you
like
know anything
us,
about
they
England.
did not get to this point in this podcast to find out that we want them to tell us why they didn't like
If this is their first time.
Yeah.
If this is your first time, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Is that going to do it for this week? Until next week, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing you.
Thanks for listening.
These goodbyes have been brought to you by...
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.